So then we are back with the modern understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Itzaelic lineage, so then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yirmiyahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. As we read then Yirmiyahu the prophet, what can we conclude as far as the most important topic regarding the times when then Yirmiyahu wrote the holy instructions? Firstly then, let's evaluate the importance of obeying the Torah or the instructions. Sometimes we try to do many tasks in our own and we forget then to obey the instructions, and it's very important during these days when we are obedient to what the Torah has stated it. But let's then make another evaluation as far as what the world then is doing and the importance of linking up with China. As far as we can understand from Daniel the prophet, we read his instructions and we know very certainly, at least a great portion of us that do know what then he is explaining as far as the 11th chapter of Daniel. Let's then make an evaluation what then China is doing with the economical system of the world. Many nations, they are then aware of that China is linking up the new system via computer, via telephones. It's very wise because the situation with the East and West is once again playing out before our very eyes. But what is then the outcome of these linkages with the new system and then the advantage of having this system in each country? Via evaluation from what then Daniel the prophet has stated it, the system is very profitable. Why then the system is very profitable? Because it links up with the very core of investments themselves. During the time of these 1,000 years of deceit, where then Great Britain was able then to control 800 years and then US only a couple of hundred, we find then this new system coming up from the East very strongly. Daniel explains then the 10th chapter that Daniel was praying for an answer regarding the base of the statue and he received it. So the kingdom of the East is China, kingdom of the South is Africa, kingdom of the North is the Soviet Union. As far as we can understand from this world system, the term of New World Order no longer exists. It only exists in the minds of those who are ignorant and they try so hard to make the system work, but it doesn't. The New World Order has failed. Now the point is not being concerned because a person has failed regarding a system, but what benefits are coming from the new system. Now when the person then gets involved with a situation like this, or a company, or a nation, what can we, as far as understanding, making a comparison with the system that has failed versus then the new system coming up? What then is more profitable? The new system is much more profitable than the older system. That's why then we have the great Ishmaelites who have then dropped down the price of oil very wisely, because this situation requires then the unionship of China and the sons of Ishmael. The sons of Ishmael, they understand they can control the world of trade and transportation by then lowering the price, so then they can increase the output. Nations are then trying themselves to control the people, where then the new system places the control in the hands of the people. So then is much more profitable. governments, most of the time, they are not profitable. They are only a burden. Why are they a burden? Because they are obviously increasing more and more people in the governments without having output or GDP. Where then the power in the hands of the people, they can generate GDP themselves. So then that's why then China is so prominent, and China by itself controls 57% of the world's market, and China is linking up the other nations. So as far as we can understand from the new system, how then the scripture plays with it. The very system is displayed very clearly on the Holy Instruction. Daniel, though he was in exile, because there was then the completing of the prophecy, or the completion of the prophecy of Yirmiyahu, because the nation of Israel did not maintain the yearly Shabbat, then they were thrown out of the land for quite some time. 70 years they were thrown out of the land because the land had to rest. Those were the holy orders of the Creator himself, and then those orders were then completed. So when we read then sections of Daniel the prophet, we then make a link with the obedience of the Holy Torah and the instructions. There are some situations in the Holy Instructions that must be updated. As we understand, for instance, the situation regarding Egypt. Those 10 plagues, they were never taking place. Many people, they can argue regarding this situation, but those then 10 plagues, they never were realized. Those were then dreams Pharaoh had at the time, but then on the 10th dream he saw the destruction of Egypt, and he then let the people go. So there were no destructions taking place in Egypt. Otherwise then they wouldn't have been able to get an army round up to go after the Hebrews. If you read the Holy Instructions, you'll find then the Pharaoh was able then to put the army together and go after the Hebrews. If the nation was destroyed, he would never done it. So then the Creator himself, he does not destroy a nation before giving holy instructions. And there were no instructions at this time. So the Creator never destroyed Egypt. So regarding this point then, we make those proper adjustments and we become obedient to what then the Messiah said regarding the Torah. Is the situation with Egypt is going to change our obedience before it? No, it was a simple detail. You must understand these 10 plagues, those were dreams given to Pharaoh via then the explanations of Moses. So then, because of these, and there are other situations, those are obviously minor situations, but they don't change, for instance, our obedience before the Holy Instructions. Those were details, very important details, but they don't change our view of ourselves obeying the Holy Instructions. So then, with this in mind, what is going on with the nations as far as we can understand? The nations at some point must link up with the system of China. And by doing this, they are promoting themselves further, and then they can expect more outcomes from the new system. It's more profitable. Yesterday came out some information regarding then South Korea. It has changed the monetary system, and they are going to start using the Chinese yuan rather than the USD. So once again, as we go forward, we must understand China is there for a reason, and the new system must become worldwide. Now, it's not a situation that nations should be downcast because the system never worked, but because the new system is more profitable. They must get over the situation of the system didn't work and then trying to fix an old junk versus then the great profits that comes from the new system. So then the new system is very profitable, and you must work to achieve it. Next time I'm going to do some more evaluation of these and All-Star Holy instructions, so then please stay tuned, much more coming up.